Hello!
Hello, AOS fans!
It's the agents of FireTeam!
FireTeam! So we've played one game of FireTeam now, which hopefully you've watched.
Yep.
And Pete, what do you think of FireTeam?
I actually quite like that. It's a nice little cut-down game.
Yeah, I think it's really good. And what I like about it, and I like this about a lot of GW's small games, is that it feels really simple. A bit like Blitz Bowl,
Yep.
But actually there's quite a lot of tactical stuff to it which you don't really realise when you start playing. So afterwards you realise that positioning's important,
You just think, I'll just move this guy here and shoot, but then you suddenly think, well, actually, if I move this guy here, then he's going to block your sort of angles of fire and your line of sight and things like that.
And I thought I had it in the bag, and I completely forgot that you could move people at the end separately, because you had less than 7 models now, or 8 models, and then you could jump onto the objectives, and actually it was really, really close. And maybe if we pick different objectives.
The objectives I had were horrible. I did score them all, though. I think we both scored all of ours.
We did score all of them, yeah. So,
but it was 6 to 7, something like that. So it really was really close.
It really was. And the intercessors are good, but the Necrons can just whittle them down just by attrition, really.
They've got some long range, because I mean, your guys have a range of 5, and some of my guys have a range of 5, but some of mine have got a range of 10, and that is a large portion of the board. And if you don't utilise those blocked hexes and really hide and hug cover, you can just start getting stripped to pieces.
And it was interesting, you were saying, my dimensional corridor is rubbish, but actually it's really good, because you can use it to block line of sight, as you said, and you put somebody else in position to do attacks towards the end of the game. It's not great in the middle of the game, but at the end of the game, when you've got multiple activations, it's really handy, because you can basically put somebody in the right place.
I do think the Necrons' ploys overall are worse than yours, because they have one ploy. They have one ploy which you literally can't use in the first round and don't want to use in the third. So you can only use it in the second.
Yeah, maybe that's not that great, because it's only a 6+. I'm not sure these are that great. I mean,
you've got one which means all your attacks are on a 2+. That's pretty good.
But they're all a 3+ anyway.
Okay.
So it's only +1, and it's only one fighter.
Yep.
But it is good. It is good. It's good with the Inspiring Commander, because he gives an extra APL, so that extra dice you can get multiple use.
Yeah.
You can't. Interestingly, you can't use it on the plasma pistol, because it's the commander that has the plasma pistol, if you see what I mean. So 3 shots with the plasma pistol with 2+ would be lethal. For the Emperor is quite good, gives you an extra defense dice, but you roll so many attack dice that it almost is useless. I don't think my dice rolls, bizarrely, when I used that one, that my dice rolls were so atrocious it was difficult to tell.
It was like, I've rolled 4 ones. Excellent.
And for the Emperor, in this scenario I didn't need to use at all. It counts 2 models for purposes of determining which fireteam controls an objective. Could be really useful. In this game, the only time it would ever have been useful would have been at the end, but I was all dead by then.
I do think that because we played the dual strike mission, which is the first one, there are quite another thing we'll come on to in a moment about, but there's loads of them in there. This is the one they give you to say, try this one out at the start. Yeah. I do think it does really hamstring the Necrons, because they move very slowly.
They do.
And
they do. Maybe that's what you need your corridor for.
It could be, you just have the ones with the longer range at the front just steadily advancing and shooting away, and then the others slow.
But it was 6-7, so even though it worked out to disadvantage, it was 6-7. It's interesting. I mean, there is an objective in there. I don't know whether you picked it, of Total Annihilation, which is worth 4, which had you drawn.
No, I didn't get that one, actually. I didn't get that one at all. That was actually, most of them are like 1 or 2, but Total Annihilation is 4,
and that would be really good for the Necrons.
Yeah,
but not very good for the Space Marines.
And in fact, I suppose that's almost impossible for the Marines, because whilst you could wipe everyone out, I could use the reanimation protocol and then hopefully get at least one person back. But I guess you might still kill them. It's hard to tell.
Very hard to kill all of you, I think.
But I love the fact that there's no close. If anyone who's played Killteam, it's very similar stat cards, very similar way it activates. No sort of close combat in the same way. It's just like shooting in that respect. But everything else works very similar. The really funky point in it is when you don't have any fighters left to activate, when they've all activated, you can then just make one action point with them. And you can keep doing that. So
and that's pretty tasty, because they're all of the operatives are pretty powerful. Yeah. So you're basically rolling 4 dice, whatever it was, 3+s pretty much.
Yeah.
Just shoot, and that's pretty powerful. Or running and grabbing objectives.
Yeah.
It's really worth remembering that with the Necrons, because they can actually, at the end of the game,
they can suddenly speed across a
little burst of speed.
Yeah.
I actually think this is a very interesting mashup between Underworlds and Killteam, because it obviously you haven't got the deck building, but the actual mechanics of the moving about and the hexes, it just feels, the tactical positioning of it feels Underworldsy. You've got blocked hexes, and you've got little objectives you do have to score, and you're just rolling dice that cancel each other out. It's got that Underworlds feel, but it's got a hidden tactical depth, which I think, given different, I haven't really looked at the other scenarios, but given the other scenarios, could make for a really interesting game.
Some of the other scenarios, I haven't got them down here actually. I've only got the other Kill Team cards, which that's another thing to remind you about, is that you also get Imperial Guard or Astra Militarum, you get Harlequins, you get Orcs, and you get Tau as additional kill teams, fire teams that you could make. So you could actually play this same mission through with all 6 different kill team combinations. You've got loads of games there just in one mission card.
I mean, in an evening, if you played a game of Kill Team and you found yourself with an hour left at the end of the game day, you could play one of these. With the kill teams you just used. So you've got Down Satellite, which is you don't place objectives on the kill zone before the mission. You roll a dice after the last operative from both fire teams has been placed on the kill zone. It's got different
deployments,
different deployment zones as well. You place one objective in the hex with the number you rolled. So it's only got one place, but when the mission ends, the player that controls that objective gets 5 victory points.
Wow.
It ends after 3 turning points. When the mission ends, the player with the most victory points wins. If the players have the same number of victory points, the result is a draw. So that's going to be a massive carnage over that.
And that's talking about the fire, not the 558, but the different turning points. You get 3 turning points like in Kill Team, but within that you get 8 activations. So even if you've got one guy, they're going to activate once, then they're going to have 7 more single AP activations either side. So even if you've both just got one person, you could see them just running around the board and not trying to stay away from each other and stuff like that. But
I mean, you've got double-sided board, remember, so you've got some that are on each side of the board. There's no man's land here. When deploying your operatives, the first 2 operatives you deploy must be in a hex in your territory marked with the letter A and B. So there's A and B on here. And there's various different scoring. I'm not going to read them all out. But there are various things you can do. And I think it'd be really interesting to play with these guys in the box. And the other kill teams, like you say, Pete.
Yeah.
One thing I don't think I've actually mentioned, the Necrons, if you're a new to the hobbyist, they may put you off the hobby forever.
Robin was trying to put them together this evening and was very, very annoyed by them.
I'm very bad at putting together models. As has to be said, I consider myself the lowest common denominator for model collection, but I don't think the Necrons are that easy at all. So if you are,
but they are push fit.
They are push fit. No glue required.
No glue.
That sometimes can be worse because glue kind of fixes things where you want them, whereas the arms go into the thing and then you have to push the front of the carapace on, and that can be tricky because the arms pop out, or you forget to do it and you can't put the arms in, you have to take it off again. At least you haven't glued it, I suppose. But I found them tricky, and I think if you are watching this and you're thinking, this would be really good fun to play with my kids, which I really think it would.
I do.
Then you probably want to help them with the Necrons. The Space Marines are a bit easier because
the game's 12 plus. I think that's mostly because of the assembling of the Necrons. You take that out, and I reckon even like someone who's a 9-year-old or an 8-year-old, depending on how
I think my 9-year-old wouldn't want to play this. It's not his sort of game. So,
no,
but
I think a 9-year-old
the right
could
sort of
work this
9-year-old
kind of
definitely could. My oldest, when he was 9, would have loved it. Now, no chance we can play with him.
The only negative I have to say about this whole game, there's only one that's really come across to me.
This card here?
Is this card. You have this card which you use to denominate which turning point you're in and which activation you're on, and there's a turn counter here which you turn over depending on whose turn it is to activate the thing, and this card doesn't really sit properly, and the thing doesn't really, it's rubbish. You might as well just get a D3 and a D8.
Or they could have just pinched something out of Fantasy Flight's handbook and just had dials.
Oh, a dial would be nice.
You could have just had a dial.
Yeah, a little dial with a punch thing through, and then just turn it around.
Two things on it, one with the turn, one with the thing. Because this, when you get into the heat of battle, it does get a bit
You just sort of forget, I'll activate, I'm going to do it, I'm going to activate, I'm going to do that, because it has that WeGo system again that GW seem to be adopting more, especially in their little standalone games, which make it much more frenetic and much more action-packed, because somebody moves someone and that blocks you, so you have to go around another way, but then that opens up another opportunity, so you go another way.
So you're thinking about that, and you might forget about this. That's my sort of is slight criticism, and it was fine at the beginning because I have 5 of these, so we knew where we were at, because when I'd done 5, that was it. And then but
then once you started losing them, and sometimes someone would activate and then they would die, so you couldn't even count how many activation tokens you have on the board, so it did get a bit hazy there. So either a dial or some dice would have been better in that one.
The only thing with dice is that if you knock them, then you lose your thing. But a dial, I reckon. I could probably just dig out my Fantasy Flight dials and use those.
You could probably just use any old VP and command point dial thing to record those two, to be honest. That would work just as nicely. I get why they didn't put something like that in this game, because it's
adds the cost.
Extra cost, and frankly, for the cost of this game, which I think is going to be about 50 quid, 40 to 50 quid, depending on where you get it from, I think this is a fantastic game, and it would definitely be one on my to buy list. Yeah.
Definitely, I would definitely give this another go, and I would probably I would buy a copy. I think, especially if I wanted to get my kids into Killteam, it's a perfect gateway, which I guess is what it's meant to be. It's a perfect gateway to Killteam. It explains kind of how Killteam works without getting into the granularity of Killteam.
Without having to worry about any kind of measuring dice or anything, because it's got a hex board, there's no terrain or anything like that.
No.
It really does simplify down, but it keeps all the stats, so it does keep that level of complexity.
I think
there.
From the actual mechanics, the only thing that's missing is combat, is you don't fight back. That's about the only thing.
But I think that's fine, because I think if you can master this when you move on to the proper Killteam game and you're actually doing fighting back and forth, that's not a massive amount extra to the end.
Now I'm getting old and long in the tooth. I can almost imagine me rather playing this game than Killteam sometimes.
It is almost, because when you play Killteam, you've got to put all the scenery down and all that kind of stuff. But with this, it's just a board, flat, there you go, bang, done.
And again, that's kind of like, that's almost like Underworlds to AOS as this is to Killteam, I suppose.
I'm looking forward to playing more of this with both of the base Killteams that come in it and with the other ones that are in the box that are an option.
Definitely.
And hopefully you guys and girls at
home let us know. Obviously, if there's no point in us playing it if nobody wants to see it.
True.
But I think it's good fun, and hopefully you do want to see it, and we'll play more games of it.
Yeah. If you've watched the game, let us know what you think. If you haven't watched the game, do go and watch it and let us know what you think. If you have any questions about any of it, how the game plays, if there's anything that wasn't quite clear when we were playing through it, we did get a bit rushed towards the end, do shout out in the comments below and we will answer that as quickly as we can.
Yeah, we always get a bit rushed. It's almost like we start off not really quite knowing what we're doing, and then end up playing really late into the night and want to go home.
Yeah. Anyway, it's really late. I want to go home.
Exactly.
Do like, subscribe, do all that great social media stuff. It really does help us.
Tell your friends, tell your friends' friends, tell your friends' grandmothers, tell your friend grandmother's cats, all
and
that
your
kind
neighbour.
of stuff.
Don't forget your neighbour.
Yeah, and your tennis partners.
Thumbs up, ring the bell, all of that stuff. We should do all this at the beginning, but we're doing it at the end when you've already turned off. But if you're still here, thank you for listening to us.
Yep.
See you soon.
Bye.